privilege.
Yes, we are so glad to have you. Our executive producer, Mr. Michael, was excited when you agreed that you would be on the show. He said, "Oh, with your busy schedule, you decided to do this. We appreciate it so much, sir."
Thank
so
you.
please, can you go ahead and just tell us a bit about what you do, sir, who you are, what you do, just a bit.
Okay. Well, my name is Akil Solomon Amieyeofori. I am from Buguma in Rivers State. I have had a very long career in the Nigerian Foreign Service. I've had the opportunity of serving in various countries outside Nigeria, and also the opportunity to serve within Nigeria, rising to the position of a Deputy Director General before retirement. That is most of what you might want to know about me.
It's a privilege to have you here, sir.
It's an opportunity. Thanks. It's a privilege.
Yes, ma. Please, can we meet you too?
Yeah, my name is Amieyeofori. I'm from Buguma, River State. So many people know Port Harcourt.
Yeah.
So we're from River State, Port Harcourt, Buguma. And I've married my husband forever. So I've been a mother, stay-at-home mother that does so many different things. But right now I'm running an NGO, giving back to the society. That is where we are now.
Fantastic. So we'd like to hear more about your NGO, maybe later on as the program progresses, because I'm interested. I want to know what the NGO is about and all. When you started, you said something interesting, Ma. You said you have moved from various things. First, you were a stay-at-home mom. I can imagine you raised 6 children. Right now, you have 2 grandchildren, and you're expecting 1 more, right? So
one grandchild and expecting 1.
Okay, 1 grandchild and expecting 1. You have actually experienced all the phases of marriage, from when you started together to having children and raising 6. Wow, I can really envy you, because I have 2, and God, I just imagine if there were 6. So I really admire the strength, the courage, and right now you are doing something else. You are doing NGO work. Can you just in a sentence or so tell us what the experience has been, changing roles as a person through your marriage?
Yeah, it's important for everybody to understand who they are and what they want. When after I graduated from school, I did electrical engineering. And I met my husband, we got married. Shortly after we got married, we were posted out of Nigeria. So I followed my husband to the post. So at the post, it was a very busy job. He was at work from morning till night, sometimes late into the night. And I started having kids. So there was no way I was going to leave those kids for anybody to take care of. What he was doing was enough to take care of our family. Then we had small, young family growing up together. So, but I was satisfied to take care of my family. And whenever he comes home, I'll be there to also attend to him. So gradually we grew, we worked together. We did step after the other. There were times we had struggles, but we overcame. We continued, but as the kids started growing, you now rely on them to take care of themselves, to help each other. That really helped. Having them close helped. So they helped watch over each other too, and we worked together and grew together to this point. So now everybody's grown. I can have my time to do what I like. I went back to school, did psychology, and now I'm giving back to society. So I'm
Wow,
happy.
fantastic. Wow. I love the went back to school, reinventing yourself. And by this time now, you're going back to school knowing who you are, what you want out of life. So your study is not just accidental. You are not just anything they give me kind of schooling. This time around, you are going to school with a purpose, with a vision in
Yeah.
mind. And it's so amazing. But before we dive in, because I'm already itching to ask so many questions, I want us to go back to the beginning. Sir, how did you meet? How did the both of you meet?
Okay, I believe we met in Port Harcourt. I went to see a cousin of mine, and I saw her walk past, and then I asked after her from him. I was pleased and satisfied that he knew her, and he had to introduce us. And so we became friends, and we picked up from there. That was how we met.
Wow. So what was the attraction? What did you see that just told you that she was the one?
Okay, well, she was young, light complexion, as you can see, and she had presence, because I actually, I was really enamored by her presence, the courage, so that was what attracted me. And of course, since I didn't know her, I had to describe all of that for my cousin, who then picked her out and said, oh, no, it could be this person who I'm sure would have worked as very nice, family-oriented kind of lady, very respectful. Oh, it would be a great pleasure for you to meet her. And that's how we met.
Wow, interesting. Ma, so what made you agree? We are the gatekeepers. If you say no, there's no marriage.
Sometimes you don't really know what made you agree, but and as a young lady, growing up, everybody expected to get married. And I was coming from a home where my mom was extremely strict. You have to hide. I hope my mom will not hear it. You have to hide to sneak out of the house somehow. So one of those times, maybe when they sent me to market, I always take that route. So
Okay.
when his cousin met you and said, my cousin saw you and he said, I think he wants to talk to you. And we get talking and the rest was history.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. So when you decided to get married, were there any objections, maybe from family or so? Any objections?
Yeah, my family thought I was a little bit young. And why am I rushing? But somehow, I think we're created differently. My personality was matured. And I thought that marriage was important to me at that time. So I told them I wanted to get married. And they supported me.
Wow, interesting. So any opposition from your end?
No, from my side, no opposition at all.
So describe the early years when you got married. How were the early years like? Did you find it challenging to settle together into the new regime of being married? Were there challenges? Just give us small gist.
Okay, so when we were dating, there was no challenges. When you're dating, everything is very rosy, nice, and everything. And we got married, and our first child came. We're fine. But as we started living together, we were from two different families, so we don't operate in the same way. So we had to learn each other's ways. We had to compromise. What was not important to me was important to him. So I had to learn. I'm a last child from where I'm coming from, so I was a little bit spoiled. So now I'm a wife. I have to learn how to be a wife. It was not too difficult, but those first 8 years were the most challenging, where we're trying to balance everything with children, with everything in our life, Sometimes you want to see your husband more, but he has to work. So you have to grow up to understand that if he doesn't work, there's not going to be food on the table. So you learn to adjust as the kids come, adjust with family, friends, and just feel you get to the point where you blend and it becomes easier.
I think I can only add to what she has said. You know, just after marriage, we had to now travel abroad to begin our new family. Our son, our first son was 3 months or thereabout when we had to go. So the responsibility of taking care of the family actually fell on her. You know, we were leaving Nigeria, the environment we knew, to an environment that is new. So a lot of things to learn. We were both learning. I was at work all the time. She was going to take charge of home and take care of the children. You know, so it's that type of challenge. But the good thing is we were able to balance work and family, as she said, and eventually the opportunity to build and build and build from that. You know, so that made us become very close friends, and you know, we established a very strong bond, knowing that this one is committed to this and this one is committed to that. And it was as good as that.
Wow, interesting. It's so good to hear your story. You know, when you talk about leaving Nigeria and then you are a new family, you just have a baby, and then you're moving to another country. What were the cultural shocks? What were the things that were different? Because like here, you would have had support maybe from family or so. If you needed somebody where to drop the child, you knew someone that you could call and all. So how did these differences play out?
That is a very clever question. You know why? It's clever because now I can tell you that your reference to the cultural dimension is very important. The good thing is we left Nigeria. In fact, we drove from here. I drove all the way to Togo, which was the Republic of Togo, after Benin Republic. So the cultural milieu was not too different. We had all the support that we needed in some ways. People who could help. You know, if it had been in Europe, it would have been a more challenging, yeah. If it had been in America, Europe, Asia, possibly. But it was right here in West Africa. So it was much better. We were able to handle it better. We had a lot of visits from families, you know, and then locally, you were able to get the sort of support that you need. You know, paid people who could work with you and support, you know, at little or no cost. So it was much easier.
Oh, wow. Because since it's Africa, the diversity wasn't so sharp and all. But Ma, did you find it easy to make friends when you moved, like to have your own support system within the circle, considering that you were not working, then you were raising children, so your time to go out was limited. Were you able to find a circle that you belonged to?
Okay, that brings us to our godly family. We're Christians. So the first thing I looked for when I got there was a church. I got a church where I could identify. So we started attending our churches there. We made friends from church. Then we also learned to speak the language. So we speak French. Don't speak well. Don't speak well. We learned the language, so it helped us communicated very well. And we're very friendly people. We make friends easily. So our neighbors became our friends and like family, you know. So immediately I had all those contacts. It was not so difficult again. I settled in and continued.
Wow. Interesting. It just shows how being an easygoing person can make it to anywhere easily. Because some people are even afraid to move. Say, when will I start? How will I make friends and all? But these tips are huge, like going to church, having a support circle from church, because church is where you find people that you have like minds, people that have similar interests with you. So it's easy to start from somewhere that you find common interest and all.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the questions that I've been itching to ask, in our generation, we talk a lot about women pursuing their dreams, women following career. I also believe in that. And then I think that somehow we are not balancing it with how we raise our children and the priority we put in family. I want you to lend your voice a little to this, because you had to leave work for a while when your children were young to concentrate home, raise them and all. Can you just give us some tips from that?
Yeah, like I used to say to people that it's not one size fits all. Everybody has to do what works for them with understanding. I was lucky that my husband had a job that could cover everybody in the family. Even if I was very restless, I would sell sand, I'll do this, I'll do that. It's not my money that was really running the family. It was providing everything we needed. But there are situations where the woman has to bring also for the family to be comfortable. So pursuing a career is not a bad thing. If you have the opportunity like me while you're home, taking care of the children, you can still build yourself. You can still build yourself for the future so that by the time the kids are grown and leave the house, you will now start running after that career that you thought you have lost out on, because it's never too late. If there is life, you can do anything you have decided to do with understanding between the both of you, because there is supposed to be a lot of communication, a lot of friendship. We discuss everything, almost everything. So it might not be okay with him. He will tell me where it's not okay with him. And I know when to speak. I've learned not to speak while I'm upset, because I will not give my point across. So I learn to speak when I'm not upset. So if a woman wants to pursue a career, there is nothing wrong in it. But she has to understand her role as a mother. You cannot pursue your career and neglect your role in the marriage. It has to be balanced. If the career is taking too much of your time, you have to cut down if you can. But if you can't, it's something to sit down and discuss with your husband, because when you're not there, you really don't know what's happening to your children. You have to be there for the kids to turn out the way you have planned your family, plus prayers. I'm not saying that if you're there 100%, the kids cannot go wrong, but it's going to be really difficult for it to go wrong, because if you're present in the life of your children and something is coming up, you spot it on time, and somebody else will not come and point it out to you. So the career can always come along. Not going out to work every day does not mean that you cannot build yourself. You can build yourself. You can also work from home. Now it's even easier. We do a lot of things online. You can do so many things online. I, even till now, I don't go out so often unless we have outreaches. I do everything I do online, and I still get what I want to. So I will not discourage women from being ambitious, but it's important for them to also know their goals so that there will be balance in the family.
I think that is very, very important. I think when one parent decides that I'm going to make a particular sacrifice, I'm saying this not really from experience, but just to add to what she has said. The point really is that ultimately, when you are married, you are young, you are also growing old. You are gradually, yes. And so your focus should also be when it gets to the point where, that is to say that you must also focus on making sure that the children are properly brought up. And that is a responsibility for both of you. So anybody, any one of you can at any point in the course of your marriage, make that extra sacrifice to ensure that the kids are properly brought up, to ensure that the kids are focused on their education, and that tomorrow they are not going to constitute a problem for you. I've had situations, I've had a lot of situations where children were neglected because of career, and the children became an albatross or something that's on the neck of the parents, you know. So that has to be avoided. There has to be, as we keep saying, some level of balance. Sorry, we took a bit of your time here.
No.
Another thing that happened while bringing up our kids, my husband was very, very busy. When I say busy, you know what I mean. So, but anything that happened in the house with the kids, I made sure that he knew. So he knew them while he was very busy. He knew everything about his children. There was nothing I kept like a special thing that I can hold against him. Like, oh, you were not here when this happened. He knew every single thing that happened, every single word they said, every mistake they made, every success. He knew about everything. So we're all in it together.
I think that's a very powerful point, because I was reading a story of a woman who was talking about her husband. Her husband had decided to leave paid employment and start a business. So he started this business and the children were young. So one time they went out on I think they went to a park for the children to play. And something happened. There was commotion. The children were running. The younger one, I think that child was like 3 years, was trying to get to the mom, but the father was there, and the father tried to hold him, but he was struggling. I want to get to my mom. I want to get to my mom. And the woman said that day she learned a vital lesson, that even though she was the one present with the children, she had to ensure that the children had a connection with their father, so that they would feel as safe as they feel with her, with their father. So she began to do the same thing you're doing. She said she told the father every story about them. Sometimes when he's available, she would allow him to be the one to couple their toys for them, so that they have that connection. She sometimes removed herself from the space and allowed that connection to grow. So when you mentioned that, I was like, wow, I'm hearing this again, like a very powerful lesson indeed.
Yeah, it's very important.
Great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that your job probably would have taken you out of town for some time. You know, you traveled a lot and all. So how did you balance communication? Because during your time, there was no GSM phone. How were you able to cope with the distance, the absence, and keeping connection with your family?
Together.
Yeah, our communication was very good. But although there was no GSM phone, for instance, wherever we sat, we had land telephone contact. So whenever I traveled, often we were online, and then the second thing is we made our trips very short. Make sure that you do whatever you want to do as quickly as you can and get back home, you know, so that you can be with the family. It's been part of it. At times, you cannot help, but then in terms of the length of stay outside. But the important thing is that we are regularly in touch. We kept in touch. We followed up, you know, on the developments at home. So that has been very helpful to us.
And when he comes back, he tells me everything.
Wow.
About everything. Baby, I don't know what we don't talk about, but we talk about most things. Sometimes I wait to talk about certain things. I have to have the right signal to discuss very important. It's not when somebody is coming in from work, irritated and tired, and you're bringing some school fees matter. You know, the time I have to also learn how to approach him at the right time. It's when you approach him at the right time, it's very easy to get whatever you want to get. So it's very important to understand that. Because I wrote about generosity when we're thinking of this program. And the husband has been really, really generous with everything he has. The life we have is because of him. And I know that my kids really appreciate their dad for that. He has shared everything. If he gets any gift, immediately the person leaves his present, calls me. This person gave me. It's not like, okay, this person gave me this, but I will not tell you the end. Tells you exactly everything. Because he also does not have the fear that he's coming back home for somebody to come and say, divide your thing and give me half. You understand? Everything he had was for family. Yes, he's generous like that. So,
but for me, the critical thing is for somebody to say when the person is not even meant to, for the person to say thank you. You know, if you pay, you provide the funds for the school fees of one of your kids, it's of course your responsibility. But you see somebody telling you thank you for doing it. You know, very little things. Always saying thank you. Everybody, you know, it inspires you. It encourages you to want to do more. It's very, very important, you know.
Wow, that's a huge secret. It's just like how we relate with God. When we tell God, thank you for the one he did yesterday, then he wants to do more. I wish that we also will learn that and use it in our relationships with our partners to appreciate the little that they do, and it encourages them to do more because they find appreciation, find value within the relationship. Interesting. In fact, I'm just imagining how your old age will be now that you are both retired. You'll have so much time to sit and have conversations. Since it's something that you started earlier, you are friends, you know each other. So having conversations as you are together now will be easier. Unlike if you were both living parallel lives and now you are forced to stay, then you hear that the woman is traveling to London for Mugo, she's going here to visit Gabriel, because there's nothing keeping them together. Just give us a small peep into how life has been since retirement.
Well, I'm sure they were waiting for me to complete my tenure, get my retirement, and come back home. They have welcomed me with so much generosity, and I'm so happy. I've also been quite busy, you know, since retirement, still doing a lot of official things here and there, participating in quite a good number of official engagements and all that. So for us, it's been the way it had always been. But then we are gradually getting settled. There is one point that maybe we did not make. You know, when you travel with the family all the time on foreign assignments and all that, just as you said, in Togo, we were more or less in an African milieu. But in other areas, we were not. So what that meant is that it also brought us closer. You know, that element was there. This is the person you have. This is the family you have. You just have to, you know, it's also part of why we became very close, and we share confidences, became confidants, and then became as good friends as we are.
Also, respecting boundaries is very important. Someone is your husband or your wife does not mean that they don't have their own personal time. It's important to keep the space sometimes, you know. Sometimes we sit in the living room. We're here in the living room. I'm on my computer. He's on his phone, playing his game. I'm doing my things online. We still speak across. We still gist. If the gist is getting very sweet, to just leave everything and
She's talking about games as if I'm a snowball.
Then we'll go back to whatever we're doing. So also when your partner, especially when the marriage is new, when your partner likes some things like sweets, food, something, and they bring from outside, it's important to ask, can I have some? Don't just pounce on it. Or your partner is eating, just dish your hand into your partner's food and start eating. There are some, I don't know if it's a personal thing, but I think is not decent. It's good to ask before you take. Sometimes you don't know what the person has in mind, So
Yeah.
those kind of boundaries, very important.
Boundaries.
Don't put your hands into their pocket to take their change without asking, those things, you can avoid a lot of trouble with those things.
Yeah, and then it also breeds respect. It breeds trust as well. When your partner knows that if you don't ask, you will not take. So even if you happen to take one time without asking, the person knows that there's a reason you did this, because it's usually not in your character. I think it's huge when it comes to setting boundaries. So looking back through your, okay, you wanted to say something, sir?
No. I just wanted to say that trust is it. It's at the core of whatever we're doing. So I don't leave home and feel that the home is threatened. No. I have absolute faith and trust in my wife. So I go about whatever I'm doing and come back whenever without having any fears or concerns. So trust is the core element, and it's been, I've never had any doubts whatsoever. Not at any time, never.
So if you had one part of your 30 years marriage that you want to relive, what aspect or what age was that in your marriage?
Well, it will be everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is to say that for me, I've always said to my friends, said to people that if I made any decision in life that was the one correct decision I made was having to marry my wife.
Wow.
Maybe because
wow.
it was the
That's so true, because like, wow. You have been, and you must have been, a fantastic wife. Wow. Amazing.
True.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
No, go ahead. I'm with you. Oh, okay. No.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that this is not a question of money. It's not a question of wealth or riches or whatever. No. But having your soulmate, somebody, just as I said, for me, the decision was right. I've never regretted it, not even one single day. And we have been able to build the family together. She has done more work than myself. And I believe that the children themselves, they know, but they also know how much we all appreciate and how much we all participated in their upbringing. This is very important, We pray that the years ahead will be as beautiful as it is now, and that we're going to have, good health, long life, and then be happy.
Okay, Mike, for you, is there any area or any stage in your marriage that you want to relive?
Every day has been wonderful. We have our ups and downs. We forgive easily. We don't carry grudges around with us. We discuss, and that is it. So the life has been good by God's grace. We have grown gradually, step by step. And now we are where, I don't even know how to explain it, but by God's grace, God will give us life. He will give us good health. We'll continue to live in peace and harmony and understanding in the presence of God, so that we can see our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and our kids will be happy to have us continuously as their parents. Thank you.
Okay, so I still have questions. I'm not done. I want to ask now, in looking back again through the years, is there any area that you think that you should have done better, or anything you would have wanted to improve on if you had the chance to redo?
We're still learning. We've been married for 30 years. Has not made us perfect couple. No, we're still learning. Especially right now, what I am learning right now is give and take. It's not set in stone. It must not be the way I want it. It's not because it's 30 years now, it's my time to call the shots. No. If I say I want white and he says he wants black, we have to discuss it till get gray. Yes, so I'm really learning that. How to really, okay, he likes this. Or is it only him that will be liking this every time? No, I must get my own way today. Then fight to start. No. We'll continue to learn and continue to grow in this marriage. But I think God has helped us to grow over the years. God has helped us to grow over the years. When we got married, I still remember the sermon. The sermon was building our house on a solid rock. And that has helped us. So there's no part I've regretted. There's no part I've regretted that I want to change.
When you said you still remember the sermon, I quickly tried, do I still remember my Sunday? I said, yes, I still remember. I quickly checked.
I used to remind him and say, hey, I said, yes, have you forgotten this? But for some reason, maybe because of the woman I am, I remember every little detail.
Wow.
What can I add to this? What I can add is very simple, and I think she's right. There are even the very difficult situations are not situations that you regret. You could have made a decision, and maybe the decision, which was, of course, normal decisions, it might not have gone the way you wanted it, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the person you are married to. But when it comes to the marriage and how we have been able to carry it on, I don't remember moments when I regret it, moments when I need to change things, or I could have changed things, or things that I need to change. No, I don't think I have never thought about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, most of what would have happened in the course of time has helped us grow to the next level. So when situations happen, is the way you take the situation that defines who you are or what you will be after the situation. So it's very important to
grow. And you see, when you talk about learning and growing through the situation, I think that's why there's hardly any point you can look at and regret, because usually regret comes from not learning, not taking the lessons that life threw at us when life threw those lessons, and then we now eventually see the repercussion of not learning. So, but once we choose to learn and grow with life, we don't regret even the bad things. We look at them and say, if not for this, I wouldn't have learned that. If not for this, we probably wouldn't have been as close as we are. And also that's so powerful.
And then of course, there is this element of expectations, When your expectations are not far above, your means or what you can actually, your expectations are within. You don't have any regrets whatsoever, You are not looking for anything other than what you have or what you can provide, what your relationship
just appreciate whatever
comes your way. That's the point.
Genuinely.
Wow. Contentment, like
I can't recall contentment. I can't recall any moment that said, wow, I regret. No, I can't.
Wow.
By God's grace.
That's so interesting. So we've talked a lot. We've talked about trust. We've talked about learning from each other. We've talked about boundaries, setting boundaries in relationship. making our home the priority, and then one person having to sacrifice, if need be, to be with the children so that they can grow, like step back a little and all. We've talked about all that. I'm just wondering, is there something else you want to add to this conversation as one of the building blocks that made these 30 years a success for you?
Okay, let me quickly say something. What I want to say is, well, I think we spoke about commitment, but what I want to add here is the fact that the commitment to the partner, that's one, but the commitment to the marriage, to say, I want my marriage to work.
Wow.
That is an element which for me is critical up till today. That I'm married and this marriage must work for me.
Wow.
And so I worked within that, you know. So my perspective in that regard is the fact that I am just not alone anymore. So whatever I am, whatever I own, it belongs to me, my family, my wife, my children. You know, that is, you just want to commit to it and to ensure that it must work, just like going to school and say, I must pass my exam. So it's an approach that I took into it. She might not know, but then for me, it's defining, you know, that I have set out on this journey, I must succeed in it. So whatever I take, you know, it's an aspect which is meaningful for me. It's very important. Thank you.
Yes, it is. It is. You know, sometimes our commitment even to our partners can wane. Certain things can happen. Maybe we are angry and we're like, are you the only one? And all. But the commitment to the union, I think that's huge. That's huge. That you are not just committed to your partner, but you are committed to the union. So even when you're angry, you're looking at the end of the day, we are still in this marriage. Oh, we know they go anywhere. You know, it's the both of us here. Wow, fantastic. So, Ma, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I want to talk about respect.
Okay.
You know, there's respect and there's submission that people always debate about, that the woman will submit. But interestingly, you know, it's the both parties that submit to each other. When there is respect, the both parties submit to each other. You can decide to respect or you can decide to disrespect. You know, sometimes you think you're respecting, but in other ways, you're not respecting all round. If you're respectful to your partner will respect you. They will just learn it. Because it will come to a point where they will think that this person is always like this. Why would I be the opposite to the person? You see? So immediately there is that level of respect. You just submit to each other automatically. You will not even know. Nobody has to come and judge case for both of you. And another thing my husband did not like was me going to report my matter to everybody. He's a very private person. So I learned it early.
That's a key element, yeah.
I learned it early because, you know, when you keep complaining to people, they will be telling you their own thing that they think, but that might not work for you. But when you come to the house and cry and pray and read your Bible and you start submitting to the Holy Spirit, in fact, you become a marriage counselor. And it will now become so easy. You know, that is what has worked for me. It might not work for somebody else, you know, but going around announcing to everybody when there is problem, the danger in it is when you make up, you don't go about to announce. So already your family will be disliking your partner for you.
Yes.
So you have to learn that fast too. You might have one or two people that you can confide in, that you're sure that will keep your matter out. If not, you go to church and go and hear your matter and you'll be crying like this and you did it.
And no matter what it is, on the light side, and no matter what it is, don't stay in separate rooms at night.
After the quarrel.
This is very important. I've heard it elsewhere, you know, but unknown to, you know, when I read it, I also knew that this works for me. You know, it's working, yeah, it works a lot. You can always settle your disagreements, you know, easily.
Wow.
So forgiveness is very important. To forgiveness is very important. It's important to forgive ahead of time before anything happens. You know, forgiveness is very important. You might think that you're perfect, you're doing everything well the way you're supposed to do it, but sometimes you have a partner that will not even speak, and the person is also hurt, you know. So it's very important, and to be open to the Holy Spirit, to be open to the Holy Spirit that will tell you that what you're doing is wrong, even when you try to justify what you're doing, you know, and eventually you give in. You will see the growth. The growth will be so wonderful. It's not something that we can do by ourselves alone. You know.
Yeah. You know, to do life alone is really challenging. That's why we have the Holy Spirit. God knew ahead of time and gave us help on the way to this journey. Wow. I've so enjoyed our conversation today. Now, I'm still coming to you, Ma, so that we'll talk about the NGO and all. But before then, for the young couples listening to us, for those people who are engaged, singles that are listening to us, what would be your advice? What would be your recommendation for them when it comes to marriage and living together?
Okay. When you just meet yourselves, you don't know whether you're in love or you're not in love. It's when you start dating that you have those butterflies, you have all those tingling in your heart and everything, you know. Then you start, okay, it's like, I really love this person. You want to stick with the person. But as that continues, make sure you build a solid friendship. Make sure you build a solid friendship, because when some temptations will come, you will not know whether you're in love or you're not in love again after the marriage. When some kind of challenges faces, you will know that your friendship is strong enough to pull you through. You know, it's strong enough to keep that love. Sometimes hardship can come. People can be sick, different challenges, you know. You can have children that you don't expect the situation. You can lose a child, you know. But when you're very close and you're friends, you pull through together. You pull through together. And another thing I really want to say here is being very plain. No hide and seek. No hide and seek. There is nothing I'll have that my husband will not know. And there is nothing my husband will have that I will not know. He will not take it away from me. I won't take it away from him. It's for us. You understand? It's for us. So, you know, acquiring property and hiding your property is wrong. The day he finds out now, there is no more trust again. Or the day she finds out, there is no more trust again, you know. So just play your card, plain, from the beginning, and don't change. God will help you. God will help you go through. Just as simple as that.
Oh, thank you, Ma. Yes, sir.
No, I
Anything
think
to
she would, I'm sure she will add the God-fearing, and that's what I know she would want to add, that they have to be God-fearing, they have to have enough advice and counsel, you know, from the church and from others. You know, it's very important, you know. These are the two things I want to add to what she has said.
Yeah, you know, when you talked about friendship, I just smiled because as we teach concerning marriage and all, we teach and say friendship is the foundation. It helps love to keep thriving. If friendship is lost, love can just be strangled easily by challenges. We get angry or we saw something that we didn't expect to see. We have an experience we didn't expect. If we don't have a strong friendship that can help us walk through this thing, we talk together, we sit together as friends, we remember the time to play together, we laughed, the fun we had, we may not be able to overcome certain challenges in marriage. So when you just said that, I was just like, wow, your story, and I've even seen it in your expression, goes to show that you are truly plain people, that you are open and you are even willing to teach others this on this same journey. And I want to thank you so much, Ma. Please, can you just tell us about your NGO? What's it about? What is this NGO about? For you to have gone to do psychology to come and do this NGO, I'm interested, Ma.
Yeah. So far, we know we have been in existence for 2 years. The name of our NGO is Amieyeofori Drug and Alcohol Abuse Rehabilitation Foundation. Our mission is to combat the fast-growing substance abuse and alcohol that is affecting our population, our communities. So we started the non-profit organization to reach out to our communities. So right now, what we do is we go to schools and create sensitization to the young ones so that before anybody that is wrong gets to them, they are already informed that they should stay away from alcohol use, illegal substances, and tell them the effects and what it can do to them if they don't stay away from it. So we go to schools every week. Today we went to a school. In fact, it was a wonderful school. I was telling my husband, it's a public school, but a well-organized school. The kids were about 3,000 without public address. Then we're able to talk to them and they listen, and I was really excited. So that's what we do. We go from school to school. We go to our communities to create sensitization, awareness. And if we identify those are already using, we take them to the hospital. We do counseling with them, take them through the treatment, and we have had successes. So we are appealing for funds, for sponsors, that people should reach out to us and support us so that we can work at our capacity. Yeah, that's what we do.
So, Ma, what inspired this? What was the inspiration to do this?
I'm a person of so many ideas, and with our experiences and what we have gone through in our relationship, I thought I was going to go for marriage counseling when I went back to school. I thought I was going to go for marriage counseling because I used to receive a lot of calls on marriages. Oh, what do you think about this? How should I do things? And the advice was working. So I said, okay, I'll go back to school and have a license to back it up. But when I went back to school, I saw another need. And I just decided to do substance abuse and alcohol training so that I can come back. When I come back, I can really help the society to give back. It's a way of giving back to the society.
Wow, that's fantastic. I hope you can send some of your brochures and everything. We'll also circulate them in our own circles and see what comes out from them. Well done, Ma. I'm really inspired that you're doing this. And sir, thank you for allowing her to shine. Thank you for giving her.
Yeah. Yes, that's another thing I wanted to address. Sometimes women, they don't like to say everything to their husbands because we have some husbands that say a lot of no's, no, or will not give them that support. Thank God, I'm saying it again, that I'm opportune to have him that I've seen through me. He said, do whatever you want to do. I'm with you, So I will also encourage our husbands to look the other side and give their wives the chance they need to explore and see what they can actually do. With their support, their wives might even go further than where they would have reached by themselves. And it's for the family. It's for the good of the family, It might not bring financial benefits, but it will bring happiness and blessings to the family. So communication too is very good from the husband's part. Some people are so busy, no matter how busy they are, they don't make time to talk. Talk and play, discussion, communication is very important. No matter, my husband was very busy, but we used to gist a lot. We are gisting partners, we talk, we laugh, we play. In fact, in the early years of our marriage, my husband used to play with our children. He'll be teaching them how to do Michael Jackson dance.
And I think another important thing is really, which of course we didn't talk about, is the fact that it's important that as you move along, you begin to appreciate the changes. Sometimes these changes are physical, they could be emotional, something like that. It can never be the same thing. You see, you get the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, once in a while. And for me, that is also very important.
Because if your wives are not comfortable with you, they'll go for Mugo. They'll go. And if you by yourself, there'll be nobody to cook.
You'll go for Mugo and spend 3 months.
And every 6 months, they'll be going and coming. So it's important for daddy to balance, to not just the wives, We know you're hardworking, we appreciate you, you provide for us, but also balance so that it's not later when you want to discuss with the boys. Come on, sit down, let's watch football together. They'll be wondering, daddy never watched football with us. Why is he calling us now? No, it's when they are young that you start building. As you correct them in love, not the scaring away kind.
Yeah.
So,
I just remember that I didn't ask you people anything about parenting, your parenting journey. How so much to talk about. But can you just give us a few tips about your parenting journey that you found really useful raising your children?
My husband would say that I always talk about church. Take the children to church. Give them that foundation of God, let them understand. I lost a sister-in-law that I had met a lot. She would gather the children, all our nieces and nephews. She would preach to them, tell them about heaven and hell. And my kids never forgot those preaching. It's like a seed that she sowed in their heart, So we as parents, we pray with them, take them to church, teach them the things of God, make them participate in church. It's not just going to church and going away. Make them participate in church so they don't forget. Before, when you come home, you teach them what you have been taught by your parents. You guide them, in love. I'm the shouting mother, because my mother used to be shouty mother. When I met my husband, when we're talking, he would say, "You're shouting at me." I said, "I'm not shouting, I'm just talking." He said it a couple of times. So I told him, if you think I'm shouting, just tell me that you started shouting, then I will tune down. I became quiet. I became a quiet woman. I will not even talk when my husband is talking because I'm afraid of shouting at him. So we should also know that when we shout, we'll pass down the shout to the kids and they will continue the shout after the divorce. So
what is my own experience? My own experience is actually to think that sometimes, the children would automatically take to what they see in you. That is very important. But then I later discovered that it was not enough. There are times you just have to step out and talk about issues. You just have to be there. Not just what you don't just presume that because I don't smoke, my children will not smoke. Because I don't drink, my children will not drink. No. Because the peer group pressures they have, the other issues, the things they meet outside, all add to their influence. What I got to realize that and took time out to also begin to talk to them. It was not enough that you are culturalized, they get socialized by just looking at you. That this is how daddy is. They could be proud of you, but they could do something else. So you just have to know that and then step in when you're supposed to step in.
Wow. This has been a very interesting conversation. I'm so excited that we are having this conversation together because I've learned so much myself. The idea of, I think there was a time when parenting was almost passive. As your children see what you do and they do, because as at that time, exposure was limited. They were basically at home. Values were common in communities and all. But right now we are having various forms of exposure. Your child can be in the house and is connected to the UK, is connected to the US, and they are having a different kind of experience from that. So mentioning that is not just enough, that because you are good, you expect that your children will see you and learn from you is really, really good. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here with us. Before you go, I want to know your thoughts about our show, and if you have any recommendations for us, we'll be glad to hear.
Yes,
Okay. That's why I said at the beginning that it's indeed a great privilege for me to be part of this, because I just got to know about you when my wife mentioned that we have been requested to participate. But I think that I'm going to make my decision about the program from the issues that you are discussing. I believe that you are out to help society. You are out to help the younger ones in society. You are out to strengthen marriages. You know, so it's a very laudable project that you are on, and we can only but stand firmly behind you, support you greatly, and pray that you achieve your aims and objectives and aspirations. So thank you. Keep it up. The tomorrow is even going to be far bigger for you. You're on the right path, on the right course. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope that if we ever come knocking, you would be willing again to come on the show. And then also, if you can recommend to us couples that will be willing to come share their experiences, so that we get more people inspired by doing this, we'll be so glad to have you. All right, listeners, how much we can take from our couple today. We want to thank you again, Ambassador and Mrs. Solomon, for being here. Sorry, your last name, I'm still struggling a bit.
Solomon, yes, Amieyeofori.
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 Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. And we also, all of us on the RBT show, want to say a big happy birthday to Pastor AY. His birthday was on Monday, and we want to say happy birthday, sir. We hope to have you very soon on the show. He's also going to be coming on the show with his wife to discuss their own marriage. And remember that Rings That Bind is also open to sponsorship, to encouragement, because as we invite people to come on the show, we also want to be able to give them some form of appreciation for spending time, for coming. And it's just to show also the gratitude that we have people to learn from, people who have dedicated themselves to ensuring that their marriages work for their families and for society. Because at the end of the day, coming on this show is also helping society. Because if we have stable homes, we'll have a stable society. We'll have a society where people are grown, people have values, and our society will be more peaceful. Thank you for spending your time with us today, and we hope to catch up with you again next week as we bring another interesting couple and have this conversation again. Have a beautiful night rest. I'm Nancy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The recording has stopped.
Okay, thank you so much. Oh, they don't